Our second reader tonight is Tami Mohamed Brown. Tami lives in Bloomington with her husband and daughter and holds an MFA in creative writing from Hamline University. She has received a Blacklock Nature Sanctuary Fellowship and served as a mentor in Intermedia Arts Wings program. Tami is no stranger to the Mentor Series competition. Last year, our nonfiction mentors, Toy Derricott and Patricia Weaver Francisco, selected Tami as one of the 2 honorable mentions for that program. And that was the first opportunity I had to encounter Tami and her work, and perhaps because she came to some of the craft talks and intimate gatherings with last year's winners, she heard stories about those vague phone messages that are left on people's voicemail and didn't get intimidated to call me back. So this past July, when mentors John Hildebrand and Dinty Moore reported their selections to me, I was very happy to look up manuscript number 31 in the spreadsheet and see the name of our second reader in the next column. Please welcome Tami Mohamed Brown.
Thank you. It's so exciting to be reading tonight with Leslie and with Nona. And I want to say a huge word of thanks to the Jerome Foundation for funding the Mentor Series. It is indeed an amazing program, and I have been privileged to work with all of the mentors and mentees involved this year. It's been quite an opportunity. Another special thank you to the Loft staff and to Jared Santek, the director of this program, who runs things with knowledge and good humor and patience that are unknown to me otherwise. Another special thank you to the nonfiction contingency, Lynn and Lisa and Kata, thank you for your support. And to our nonfiction mentor, John Hildebrand, who's here tonight, who has gone above and beyond. Thank you, John. Thank you to my parents for the child wrangling and chauffeuring. And thank you to my Nora for allowing them to chauffeur and wrangle her with minimal complaints. And thank you, too, to my husband, who really has helped me to figure out when to be more serious about my writing and less serious about myself. So thank you. Mornings in the Nile Delta are always the same. Damp and dark, filled with burning cooking fires and a low-riding vaporous fog. The wailing early call to prayer floating into my sleeping ears, always the same, only to shift abruptly when the sun rises, the haze and the smoke absolved, the sky clear and cloudless over half-wrung laundry, sagging on the wire clothesline that reaches wantonly from my windowsill to cling to the electric pole across the unnamed dirt street. Always the same. I am the first American wife to reside in the Nile Delta village of Mitrab, Egypt. I'm told that before me came an Italian wife, a woman who wore red nail polish and tube tops and snapped her chewing gum, who walked around taking pictures of the donkeys in the street and the watermelon vendors at the side of the road, of the old men in their long white galabeas sitting outside the mosque before prayer, the young boys standing barefoot on the dusty riverbank, peeing into the water. The Italian wife stayed for just half a month. Before her, they tell me, there was the Dutch wife. It's said that she lasted only 5 days in the Delta, leaving the dusty village streets and the mosquitoes for the tidy comforts of her home in Amsterdam, throwing off her headscarf, or so the story goes, and draping it dramatically around her neck, a la Isadora Duncan, as she and her many pieces of luggage were ferried away from the village and back toward her personal version of civilization via taxi. Her Egyptian husband refused to return with her to Europe, staying instead in the village with his Egyptian wife and their 2 children. I suggest to my husband Ahmed that perhaps an already existing Egyptian family might be part of the reason the Dutch wife decided to leave so quickly. And we laugh, but later, alone, I think about it and decide it's really not funny at all. It's the summer of 1998, and I'm an adventurous 20-something American newlywed who has chosen to accompany her Egyptian husband home in order to complete the visa application that will enable us to live together as man and wife in the United States. And it's precisely because I'm a 20-something American newlywed that I'm confident the entire process will be quick and easy and painless. All I know of life simple, streamlined, effortless. For the time being, Ahmed and I have come to live with his immediate family in the rural Egyptian village of Mitrab, where he was born and raised. His family home is a 1-bedroom house of clay and mud with a roof that collapses each winter when the heavy rains come. There are several of us in this smallish place: Ahmed, his parents, his 2 younger brothers, a sister of 6 years old, a goat, several rabbits, a crate of pigeons, and a cow. And me, the American wife who also happens to be several months pregnant. As the American wife, I already know that wearing a scarf over my head is not required, but appreciated, and that showing my bare arms would, culturally, be considered bad form. And because I'm the kind of traveler, the kind of person who is eager to please, I quickly try to apply these rules so that I might gain the title and reputation in the village as not just the first American wife, but instead as the extremely adaptable and culturally sensitive pregnant American wife with the nice manners and modest wardrobe. At just over 2 weeks out, I've already outstayed the Italian wife and the Dutch wife. At just over 2 weeks out, I lie in bed and wonder how long I'll stay. I was so eager to start reading, I didn't tell you this is from my manuscript entitled American Standard. I'm going to skip ahead a bit in time. And I think the only thing that you need to know is that time passes really slowly. I'm 5 months along in my pregnancy when July hits, the baby now beginning to move and to kick. Ahmed still believes his visa paperwork will be processed and approved any day, but I'm not sure. My American practicality tells me I should have had a plan in place weeks ago, a doctor on standby, a hospital chosen and waiting for delivery. I should be doing Lamaze and exercising, but instead, I sit. I sit and I wait. My 4 nieces, through what must be some sort of collective child's intuition, sense my boredom, can feel the hopelessness of their new American aunt. In an effort to entertain, they crowd against me on the sofa, pushing their hot little bodies up against mine, clinging to my arms and wrapping their fingers around my fingers, their damp little faces looking up at me, their sweaty palms touching my cheek and turning my head and forcing me to look at them, repeating, "Tant, tant, shoof, look," while I am made to look at another funny face, or "Tant, Isma, listen," to another song or a silly joke that just doesn't translate as they jump and belch and fart and slap their legs, overcome by their own humor, everything exciting, everything funny, everything fast and loud. They smash the green lizards that climb the walls of the house, slapping the soles of their shoes against the clay and whooping victoriously and gleefully, pulling me to look when the blood and the innards of the scaly creatures splatter across the wall. They crawl through open windows in pursuit of the cats and ducks that pass through the house and scuttle down the dusty street, throwing their shoes at the neighbor boys who always have offended one of them in some extremely evil way. My nieces give me the action and the disruption that I've been wishing for, their best company manners put aside as they crash and breathe and grab and sit too close to me. And while I laugh and joke and dance and do all the strange things that they expect their strange American aunt to do, these little girls, my nieces, make me doubt myself. For all my compliance and attention, I'm hurried with them, though there's no reason to be. I have nowhere else to go, nothing else to do. My voice comes across too stern and too loud, and I'm disturbed by the hand that I hold too tight. I'm short with them, if bothered while reading, snappish with interruptions while conversing with an adult. And with this realization, in my pregnant state, I can't help but ask myself, what if I'm not ready to become a parent? I'm slowly filled with an aching doubt about what I can bring to motherhood, a doubt that irritates and festers and won't go away. And as this fear sets in, my stomach grows a little larger, my feet swell. The daylight hours stretch long and hot across the green rice fields that surround the village when I notice the itching. As tiny mites from the dust and the dirt and the animals creep underneath my skin, depositing eggs, breeding and biting, leaving red, itching welts that make me scratch to the point of tears, the broken scabs weeping down my legs and arms and down my back, staining my dresses and shirts with drawn-out trails of blood. I scratch furiously, but nothing helps. Not soap, not calamine lotion, not even rinsing several times a day under cold water. One morning, I wake up and see that the welts have covered my entire stomach. Although I don't say it, I worry that the external could be affecting the internal. I'm worried for the baby. I can tell Ahmed is thinking the same. I need a doctor. We have to travel 45 minutes by shared taxi to see the only English-speaking doctor in the whole district, or so we're told. My sister-in-law, FF's friend Mona, has seen this doctor before for a rash. And because Mona has given us the information, both she and FF come along for the appointment. The exam room stinks of urine. Lazy flies buzz in and out a screenless window. A dirty curtain hangs limply from a bent rod on 3 metal rings. A non-uniformed nurse, or a woman who says she is a nurse, comes in with an assistant. This makes 6 of us sitting, waiting for the doctor. The nurse's assistant asks me in Arabic to change into a gown, which she offers to me. Ahmed translates. No one moves. I'm not changing in front of everyone, I tell her in English, waiting for everyone to offer to leave. Ahmed translates. She shakes the gown, insistent. Instead of using Arabic or English, she grunts, a sound clearly meant to mean, come on, do this now. No one moves. I shrug, feeling very difficult suddenly. I'm not changing, I repeat. Although she has no idea what I've said, the tone of my voice, or possibly the set of my chin, makes FF laugh nervously. I'm defying the rules. I'm making things uncomfortable. Since she's the one that set up the appointment, I realize she's probably worried it will reflect badly on her if I don't cooperate. I really don't care. Before the robe issue is resolved, there is a clattering outside the door that announces the English-speaking doctor. He is middle-aged and balding, with thick, oversized glasses, and with his white coat covering his sweater vest and tie. He is the very picture of how a doctor is supposed to look, which makes me suspicious. He looks at me closely, stretches out his hand to shake mine. "Tami Brown," he greets me. "How are you?" This is the chance I've been waiting for. The chance to communicate with a specialist in my own language without translation. I'm itching, I tell him. I have been itching like crazy for the last month, and we haven't been able to find anything that gives me any relief, nothing at all, and I just hate this. I realize then that I'm speaking way too fast, and also that it's getting harder to breathe. The doctor's smile disappears. Translate, I hiss to Ahmed. I bend down to itch my leg, and this time no one stops me. Ahmed speaks rapidly to the doctor. The doctor continues to watch me scratch, then frowns and replies just as rapidly to Ahmed. I catch the word for eggs. That's it. He says that you're allergic to eggs, reports Ahmed when the exchange is complete. Oh no, that couldn't be it. Tell him, I prompt my husband. Ahmed speaks rapidly, again to the doctor. I hear and see FF suck in her breath. People aren't supposed to ask the doctor questions. Well, Ahmed says after listening very carefully to the doctor, if it's not eggs, then it's probably bananas. From the way he conveys the information, I can tell that he's actually on the brink of believing this diagnosis. Ahmed, really? I ask. Does that even seem right? I eat bananas all the time. No one says a word. Ahmed speaks rapidly to the doctor a third time about the bananas, but instead of responding to my husband, the English-speaking doctor looks directly at me. Tami Brown, he commands, pointing at the exam table. Tami Brown, sleep. And right there is where I lose it. Suddenly, it becomes all too difficult. The flies and the heat and the sweat and these gaping Egyptian women, this strange doctor who I thought would cure my itching telling me to sleep. It all makes me want to run down the hall, screaming from the bottom of my throat. It makes me want to slap my face and rip my hair and pound the floor. But I don't do any of those things because they would take far too much energy. So I simply burst into tears. Tami, honey, he didn't mean sleep, says Ahmed. He just meant lie down so he can look at the bites. The doctor, whose name I never learn, stares. He scribbles something on the notepad, hands it to his nurse, and leaves. His nurse hands the note to FF and in turn leaves. FF hands the note to Ahmed, who reads the note. It's a prescription, he says, for calamine lotion. The same lotion we've been using on my bites for the last 2 weeks. And he's added a doctor's order that you can't eat any eggs or bananas. I'm too tired to say anything.